You always do it. You walk into a restaurant, a waiting room, a coffee shop, and before you even look at the menu, you've already scanned the room. You find the corner, the seat against the wall, the chair facing the door, and you sit there every single time without even thinking about it. Most people don't notice, but you do it. And somewhere in the back of your mind, you've always wondered, why? Because here's what nobody ever says out loud. The people who always sit with their back to the wall aren't paranoid. They're not weird. They're not being dramatic. They are operating from one of the most sophisticated psychological systems the human brain has ever developed. And by the end of this video, you'll understand something about yourself that most people spend their whole lives never figuring out. Picture this. It's a Friday night in 2019. Pre-pandemic, busy world, life at full volume. You're meeting friends at a restaurant in the city. It's loud. It's crowded. There are people behind you, beside you, the server weaving between tables, strangers laughing, conversations overlapping. And the whole time you're there, you're not fully present. Not because you don't want to be, but because part of your brain, a very old, very alert part, is quietly tracking every movement behind you, every chair scrape, every door opening. You can't turn it off. You never could. And here's what nobody tells you about that feeling. It's not anxiety. It's not a flaw in your wiring. It is your wiring, working exactly as it was designed to. Now here's where it gets really interesting. A study published in the Journal of Environmental Psychology found that humans show measurably higher cortisol levels, that's your primary stress hormone, when seated with their backs exposed to open space. Translation: your nervous system genuinely experiences more stress when you can't see what's behind you. This isn't a mindset problem, it is a biological response. Your body is reacting to a real signal. And research from the University of Queensland reinforced this. People consistently rate seating positions facing the room's entrance as significantly more comfortable and preferred across dozens of different cultures, not just yours. Dozens. Translation: this instinct is so ancient, so deeply embedded, it transcends language, upbringing, and geography. It is human. But here's where your personal story begins. Because while the instinct itself is universal, the intensity of it, the way it's woven into every room you enter, every seat you choose, that part is yours. And it almost certainly traces back further than you realize. When you were very young, maybe 7, maybe younger, you learned something, not in a classroom, not from a book. You learned it from the air in your house, from the way a parent's mood could shift without warning, from the tension that lived in certain silences. You learned that the world was something you needed to monitor, that surprises weren't always safe, that being caught off guard had a cost. By the time you were 12, it was automatic. You read rooms. You noticed micro-expressions before you knew what that word meant. You clocked who was angry before they raised their voice. You felt the energy shift before anything changed on the surface. And you told yourself, and maybe adults told you, that you were too sensitive, too serious, always on edge. But you weren't on edge, you were on watch. There's a profound difference. That child needed to see the door, and so they grew into an adult who still needs to see the door. But wait, there's a darker side to this. Because here's the fascinating paradox. The very system that kept you safe is the same system that now costs you. And this explains why you sometimes feel exhausted in situations that should be relaxing. Why a dinner with people you love can leave you drained. Why vacations feel like work in disguise. Your nervous system never fully clocked out. It's been on duty since you were a child, and nobody, not you, not the people who love you, ever told it the shift was over. And this explains why you tend to be extraordinarily perceptive in relationships. You notice when something is off before your partner says a word. You catch the almost lie. You feel the distance before the conversation about distance ever happens. People call it intuition. Therapists call it hypervigilance. The truth is, it's both. It helps you enormously. You are rarely blindsided. You are rarely deceived twice. You have a kind of social intelligence that other people genuinely cannot replicate, because it wasn't learned, it was forged, but it also isolates you, because you're always partly somewhere else, always running a background check on the room, always 3 steps ahead of a threat that, in most adult spaces, simply isn't coming. And this explains everything about your relationships. While everyone else takes safety for granted, you have to construct it. Consciously, deliberately, in every space you enter. Other people walk into a party and think about what to drink. You walk into a party and spend the first 10 minutes doing a quiet threat assessment, figuring out who's loud, who's drunk, where the exits are, who you trust, where you could sit that would give you the most control over your own comfort. By the time you've settled in, you're already tired. Society calls this social anxiety. It pins a disorder label on it and moves on. But what society misses is this. You're not afraid of people. You're not afraid of parties. You are an organism that learned, at a cellular level, that environments require management. That safety is earned, not assumed. And you've been earning it every day, without anyone acknowledging how much energy that actually takes. What I'm about to tell you in the next 60 seconds reframes everything. The truth is, sitting with your back to the wall isn't paranoia. It isn't social awkwardness. It isn't something to fix or meditate away or discuss with your therapist until it disappears. It is the physical expression of a mind that learned to protect itself before anyone else was going to do that job. And that changes everything. Because when you understand that, really understand it, you stop being ashamed of the corner seat. You stop apologizing for needing to face the door. You stop calling yourself too much for a world that was sometimes not enough for you. That child who needed to see the room, they were right to look. And the adult they became, you, carries that watchfulness like armor you never meant to keep wearing. The work isn't to throw the armor away. The work is to learn, slowly, carefully, which rooms are safe enough to finally take it off. You always sit with your back to the wall because some part of you is still standing guard for a younger version of yourself. And that's not weakness. That's the most loyal thing you've ever done. If this resonated with something you've never quite been able to put into words, you'll want to watch this next video, because it goes even deeper into why highly perceptive people feel everything so much more intensely and what that actually means for the life you're building.